Hello and welcome to the man of the moment. Interview with the man of the moment, James Hillier. 1 year back, I'm putting it on record. Exactly 1 year back, James Hillier and I were having a chat, and he said a sub 10 100 meters from an Indian athlete is possible. I didn't say anything to him because I've got great respect and admiration, but I said to myself, he's talking big. This is not possible. We've taken a decade to come down from 10:03 to 10:20. How is he talking about sub 10? We've got 10:09 from Gurindervir Singh, and it now seems James Hillier is leading an Indian sprint revolution of sorts. James, welcome. Thank you very much for joining me. You've created something fantastic in India. Gurindervir, Animesh, there is something going on that you need to tell me about. What have you done to these athletes?
Yeah, it's really not me. I'll underplay myself a bit. It's really these guys. We're just very fortunate. We have a very talented bunch of young, hungry athletes that are all around at the same time, and I'm just trying to give them the opportunity to express themselves on the track and run well and unleash their potential. So yeah, I'm just a facilitator.
So is a sub 10 possible in the next couple of years? Are you realistically optimistic?
Well, you said at the start I was talking up. I try not to do that at my age because it takes too long to recover when they don't do it. So I do try and downplay this sub 10 thing. It's unfortunately it's always out there, but it's not so much about the 10. Obviously, that's will be the end result. I'm very optimistic we will do it, and someone will do it. It's more just about continual improvement, taking baby steps. Just trying to get all the guys faster. It's not really about one guy. It's really about 2, 3, 4 athletes all pushing each other, and I think that's really the secret, formula, if you like, for this sort of sprints revolution that's happening here. It's not just one person driving it. They're taking it in turns to win national championships. They're taking it in turns to have national records, and that's really the secret. And within that, you see you're breaking down belief systems and belief barriers and stuff. And you couldn't even justify having a conversation about breaking 10 seconds, 5 or 6 years ago. It was just a sort of crazy, thought process. But now it is a realistic target. But we'll try not to talk about it too much. We look more about how we run under 10 seconds. And I think that's the key for us. What does it take? What have we got to be doing in training? What have we got to be doing in the gym, in various elements of the race, and then just really giving them the opportunity in good conditions and good track with good competition, and see what happens. And yeah, let's hope it does. It does happen sometime soon. Yeah.
How much of this is mental, James? Because clearly this whole 10, firstly, it was this 10-10 thing. For us, it was brilliant when we saw that Gurindervir run. I have watched that race. You have put it out from your handles. My guys were there covering it. So they were all, going mad on our work group. How much of this is mental? That, oh, you know what? And Gurindervir's statement that Indian genes and all of that. How much of this is mental that the barrier has now been broken?
It's hugely mental. We've all been told, and myself included, and I've sort of put it out there quite publicly, that there wasn't a belief system, within the athletics community here in India that Indians could sprint and Indians could break, 10 seconds or whatever the particular narrative was. What I try and do is deal in fact, and it's not about, can we, can't we? It's just a case of fact. So, I profile the athletes in training. I look at key markers in training that would indicate, a range, a timing range that they can do in the competition. Now, Gurindervir has been running within 10.06 to 10.10 in training, based on the markers that we sort of use. So I know that he's in that range. Now, whether he does it or not, that I can't control that. I can only take the athlete to the white line. I can't run the race for them. And thankfully, I won't run the race for them. But it's down to them really, and their ability to just execute the plan. And if you watch Guri's races, particularly the semi and the final, he executed an extremely good technical race. And if you look at his body shape, it's completely different to last year. He's lost a lot of weight. He's leaned up a lot. So his ability to produce power, to produce force off the ground is improved massively. But these things all take time, so trying to build an athlete that is capable of running, 9 something, but it's still down to the athlete to actually go and deliver it and go and do it. He's on target now. There's stuff that we haven't even introduced in training yet that, this is a sort of early season peak, if you like, but it's definitely not the main peak of the season. So the training, as long as everything goes well, we're looking to peak him at the end of the season. So there's stuff that I've not even introduced yet in training that I know, all being well, will make him even faster. So the signs are encouraging that there's more room for improvement even this season, and certainly in the next couple of seasons as well. So yeah, it's we have to be cautiously optimistic, but more room for improvement for sure.
In India, we tend to kind of follow multidiscipline events more. That's how we are as a country. So we follow the Commonwealth Games more. We follow the Asian Games more. We follow the Olympic Games more. Huge year in that sense, because the CWG in Glasgow and thereafter the Asian Games in Japan. How are you looking at it? Because clearly, there is this recognition debate going on in India. Badminton people have talked about it. Hockey people have talked about it to me only in interviews, saying we don't get the same recognition. Gurindervir is getting enormous push on social media. Having said that, when an IPL is on, to get media space, that's a real challenge in India. You know it. So a superb Commonwealth Games or a top quality Asian Games will change the narrative. Can you tell me about what you feel is possible at the CWG or the Asian Games?
Well, the AFI, Athletics Federation of India, have made the standards hard, and they've made them hard for a reason, because they want to drive up performance at international competitions. Traditionally, Indians have done well, in India, and then gone overseas and perhaps not performed as well as we would expect or we would want them to. So the federation has very wisely made the selection hard. The qualifying mark just to get to the Commonwealth Games was higher than the national record. It was 10.16. So when that came out, and we didn't question it. We just said, okay, that's fine. We'll do it then. So a lot of other people came out publicly and the 100 meters it's too fast. It's a national record. It's this, it's that. It's irrelevant, really, because we're benchmarking on what was fourth place at the last Commonwealth Games. So fourth place at the last Commonwealth Games was 10.16. So that's how the federation have come up with that sort of indicator. Now, 2 guys have run under that. Animesh and obviously Gurindervir in the semi-final and the final. So we now technically have 2 guys that have qualified for that competition, and just by right of qualifying, we would expect them to be within the medal zone. We're not guaranteeing them a medal, of course. The Commonwealth Games is tough, particularly in the sprints, because you've got the British, the South Africans are coming up, all the Jamaicans, and all the Caribbean countries and stuff. So the Australians are coming up now. So we know it's going to be super tough. We can't put a medal around the neck, but we want them to go and be competitive, and that's what we have to start doing. And I think that belief system now is that we can go to these international competitions and be competitive. And one of the other things I've driven a lot since I've been here is this international exposure. So getting our athletes out of India, training with foreign athletes, competing with foreign athletes, and seeing them as equals, not as automatically better than them. And that's really, really important. And I can't talk for other sports, but I'm sure it's similar situations. And maybe the first time people travel, they don't do so well, and that's fine, as long as you learn from it and improve and get better and don't make the same mistakes again. It's really about improving and being able to be comfortable in a very high pressured environment. And that's what happens at the Commonwealth Games. It's not easy to win medals. They don't give you them. You've got to go and physically go and win them, and everyone's fighting, and if you make one mistake, someone will pounce on you. And that's just how it is. It's dog eat dog. It's very, very tough. And, we have to condition our athletes for, to be very mentally tough to deal with these type of competitions. But, just by the right of the time, if Gurindervir runs 10.09 in the final of the Commonwealth Games, he's going to be right up there with a chance of a medal. So it's not necessarily about even running fast at this point. It's about repeating, what he's already done at the right time, and that becomes the next challenge.
A role on the facilities now, James, because clearly I remember you and I have been talking for several years now. The role of the Reliance Foundation, your role, I know you are underplaying your own this thing, but honestly, to come to India to bring about this change, yes, tremendous support from Reliance Foundation and everybody at Reliance, from the very top, from Mrs. Ambani down to everyone involved in the system. Clearly, there is something going on in India at the moment. So I would want to put that on record, that the kind of support system that we now have, facilities that we now have, opportunities that our athletes now have, including access to top quality coaching and top quality mentoring from people like you.
Yeah, I mean, it starts from the top, and it starts from our leadership at Reliance Foundation. And as a sort of senior leadership team, we genuinely believe that Indian athletes can be the best in the world, and that is what drives us as a foundation. And without that belief, it would be not pointless what we do, because there's huge benefits to what we do. We're not just improving athletes; we're improving their lives and the lives of their families and all the rest of it. But we truly believe that Indian athletes can be world class. Now, if the rest of the stakeholders in India have that same belief, and then we can collectively bring everything together and work together with the same goals, the same common goals, then we've really got a chance to be, competitive at global levels. But it's one step, at a time. And, with this sprint revolution that's happening, a lot's happened in this last week. In fact, the last 12 months, the time is getting exponentially, it's coming down exponentially quicker, as we move forward. But a lot of that's in the 5 years before this year, or before 2025, 2026, when it's really, gathered pace. 5 years of graft before that, we're now seeing the benefits of it in year 6. Does that make sense? So it's 5 years of, building foundations and maybe not getting huge amounts of success, and maybe lots of failure, lots of learnings, dealing with stuff. And then all of a sudden the success comes, and people think it's like an overnight thing. It's not. This has been huge amount of work, 6 years of dedicating my life to this, really, since 2019, since I moved to India. And but we're really getting the results now, and we have to be patient. We need the support of the media. We need the support of everybody to drive this forward. And it's very, very important. We're going to make mistakes along the way. It's okay. Let's accept that. Let's not, apportion blame to the people. Let's just have good reflection, good learnings, just keep getting better, keep improving. And that's really the mantra we bring as a foundation. We just want to, continuous improvement, just keep getting better, and just give these amazing young athletes the opportunity to express themselves and reach their potential. And that's what we're trying to do through facility, building facilities, working with state governments like we do in Odisha. The indoor center in Odisha, which we've talked about a few years ago, Boria. I was driving that, trying to, bring indoor athletics to India, and we've got the World Indoor Athletics Championships coming to India in 2 years' time. It's just amazing what's happening and what we've achieved as a foundation, and we're just trying to really live and breathe Mrs. Ambani's vision and just do the best we can, and and hopefully we can just keep getting success and keep improving the whole ecosystem of athletics in India. And now we're involved in a lot of other sports as well. So hopefully in other sports we can have, a similar impact as well.
I've got only good words on this, because I've seen the kind of effort myself. I know this is the tough part, the away from the glare, the failure, the mundane, the routine, the training every day, away from the media glare. That's when champions are fashioned, and that's what you've been able to do. I know the 6 years or the 7 years have been hard, but I also know that the recognition will be sweeter, because in India we will put you on a pedestal and we'll throw you down. That's how we are. But when it happens, the whole country gets behind our athletes. More bodies on the line. It's Animesh and Gurindervir at the top. There's a kind of a difference now, James, but are you seeing a crop coming up? Are you seeing many more talented guys coming up? And what about the women? Final question. Is this Is this an aberration still, or are you now seeing structure and we will see many more in the future?
Well, it's funny you mentioned the word structure, and I think that's really the key to the success of this project. Really, is what we have done is added really good structure, good planning, good preparation. We've been very clear with the athletes what their goals are, what they need to work on. And you have to have structure. You really, really do. Athletes need to know what's expected of them. Sometimes I'll be very, very hard on the athletes. I've been very hard on Gurindervir over the years. We can enjoy this moment, but we've had some very tough challenges. And only 2 weeks ago we had a disappointment at the World Relays, and I was really, really hard on him. But the way he's bounced back has been phenomenal because he's not taking it personally. He knows that it's not a personal attack. It's me wanting and expecting him to be better. And, athletes are taking it the right way. They're taking it as constructive feedback. And, I think that's really, really important. We got a great crop of athletes that weren't there. I mean, Manikanta is a fantastic 100-meter sprinter. And in fact, he had the national record a couple of years ago and was very unlucky not to break it last year. He ran 10:19. Also at Ranchi at the Open Nationals, and he had quite a strong headwind. And had the wind been the other way around, he would have been coming into 2026 as the national record holder. Amlan, who started the whole Amir's national record, and he was running 10:25 a few years back as well, and obviously broke the 200-meter national record. So, and he's obviously won a global medal. He got a bronze medal at the World University Games in the 200 meters. Pranav Gurav is doing great. He got a bronze medal here and running well. Lalu is another one of our athletes that's always consistent, ran very well indoors as well. So there's a really good crop of male athletes. The female athletes, we're expecting a bit more from them. We don't have really much involvement in the female athletes, or certainly not in their direct training. We do support some. Sakshi Chavan's one of our athletes, and she's coming up really well. She won the nationals last year as a junior, so she's coming up. And Abanaya, I think, is a huge potential, but she's got to learn how to stay fit and healthy. But we do expect a bit more from the girls. We want them to be running a bit faster, particularly as mixed 4x100 meters is now, on the sort of on the scene, if you like. So, and the key to mixed 4x100 is the strength of the girls, because the gap between the best girls and the worst girls is always bigger than the men. So we really are crying out for some couple of girls to start running 10:3 to 11:3, 11:2 even. So hopefully that revolution will come. They're a great bunch of girls, but they need to push each other like the boys have, and hopefully they can get a bit more successful. But the future's bright. We need more strength in depth. That's definitely something we still need. But times that were winning nationals 6-7 years ago are now not making finals in the men's. So that's a huge step forward, and we're definitely moving the right way, and we'll try and give the media what they want. We'll try and give you a 9-second run at some point. So fingers crossed.
I'll end there saying James's words: cautiously optimistic, the future is bright. And being an Indian, I know that the IPL is in its business week. In that particular week, for Gurindervir Singh to trend on social media, for Animesh Kujur's 10:15 to be lauded, and all of us talking as, celebrating. Revsportz is different because we've always done that, and James will attest to it. He and I have done many, many together. We will do it, but for the mainstream media to follow and celebrate despite the IPL is also a new Indian story. That's what I want to celebrate. James, you have a role. Don't underestimate your role or play modest, but you've got a phenomenal contribution to it, and we will celebrate that. The AFI structure, everyone needs to come together. Reliance Foundation, incredible work, whether it is from the top, every level. An Indian revolution is underway, and that's what we are celebrating. We will not go overboard because the job is not done yet. We have started it well. We will build on it well. And I can assure you, from the perspective of Revsportz and the media, we will be there right through the journey, in good and more in bad. James Hillier, always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you very much for joining me. Appreciate and keep the good work going.
Thank you, Boria. Thanks everybody. Thank you.